This is the European edition of Breaking Banks, the world's #1 fintech podcast and radio show. We bring you the European unicorns, startups, founders, regulators, and leaders innovating the rapidly evolving fintech scene today. A truly localized podcast with both English and local language content, with some of the world's most well-known hosts and influencers in the fintech sector globally. Join us every week as we explore what makes the European Union a phenomenal proving ground for many of the fastest growing fintech plays in the world today. Okay, let's roll.
So welcome on Breaking Banks Europe. I'm Francesca Aliverti. I will be your host for today, and we are here for this special episode at Finovate in London. And my first guest is Saira Khan from First Direct Bank. Hello, Saira.
Hello. How are you?
Very good, and thanks for joining us for
Absolute pleasure.
for this interview. So Saira leads and supports the collaboration of fintech and traditional financial services for First Direct Bank, as I said, where she leads on business model innovation, focus on areas including open banking, emerging technologies such as data and AI, and she has a very sweet spot on sustainability as well. So first of all, I really want to congratulate with you, Saira, for having been listed on Innovate Finance Women in Fintech Powerlist. How does it feel?
Oh, thank you so much. Very recent, absolutely amazing. What a great kind of a recognition, and so timely as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That's nice, you deserve it. So what I wanted to ask you as first question, of course I have to because it's everywhere in the news. First Direct Bank is also owned by HSBC, and HSBC is everywhere right now for the rescue deal, let's call it like that, of SVB. What's your view on that? How does it feel?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me. Honestly, I'm absolutely thrilled. And I'm glad you brought that up. I think, it sends such a great message out for our customers, our colleagues, to be part of the HSBC family. And it's a huge message on our commitment, really, Francesca. It's awesome. Let me take you back, actually, just to talk about a little bit of a story. So HSBC foundations, if we go back all the way to 1865, 158 years ago, we were helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And here we are today with this rescue deal. So actually it makes me super proud that HSBC's not only come in, but also helped to collaborate so quickly, so timely. I mean, we're all here to solve problems, but what a great way for everybody to get together and solve a problem.
Yeah, so it's going to be great times for you, I'm sure. Let's keep talking about the startup ecosystem, because within your role you have quite the privilege to see the collaboration between the traditional world and the fintech ecosystem. Yeah. Could you share with us maybe a little bit your experience in this?
Oh, it's super exciting. Look, when often we talk about this, and when you talk to industry folk, it's like, oh, it's the incumbents versus the fintechs, but actually it's not. The fintechs have helped us to really start get a good kind of a competition going, and start thinking about how our customers are behaving and changing, and how we need to move quickly. So I think it's a beautiful family between the two for us to work together. Super excited. We, as HSBC's commitment and First Direct's commitment, we've worked with partnerships for a long time now, and partnerships come in many forms. Look, there's 4 types of partnerships. We've got regulatory compliance, vendor relationships, strategic investments, and research and product collaboration. And I think, we're very proud to say we're across all of those. So I think, from my personal opinion, they're super important. I'm glad we're in that space. I mean, it's been great talking to some of the great ideas today, and it gets us to start thinking about fantastic ideas too, right?
Yeah, that's great indeed. And before, when we were chatting, we also talk about the difference in cultural mindset that maybe you have to face when talking with a startup. So we were discussing the fact that sometimes a startup needs to put in the shoes of the bankers. What's your experience with that?
I didn't think you were going to bring that up. What a great way to kind of do it. It's look, I think there's a huge kind of a cultural shift between the way that the startups communicate versus the way that the storytelling piece comes in. The banks understand customers, and and I'm going to say First Direct is a part of a larger organisation as HSBC. And we see a lot of founders come in, a lot of different people. The one thing that we need to get right, and the one thing I think I'm so passionate about, is that cultural piece, the education around taking everybody on that journey with you. So when you're working with, whether it be vendors, whether it be big partnerships, what does it mean? What does it actually mean for the customer? Because ultimately we're all serving customers and, making their their kind of experiences so seamless. And that's what we're all here to do. So we need to take everyone on that journey is the thing that we were talking about earlier, and founders around, understanding how to collaborate with the banks and, how to get the best out of their experiences as well, in telling us how they can work together with us.
So we touch upon the consumer-centric kind of approach, and I want to ask you a question about the technology now.
Mm-hmm.
Like many times we see a lot of focus on these emerging technologies, mm-hmm. rather than maybe a more like solution driven to the customer. So what's your view on these enabling technology like AI, data analysis and so on, maybe also for the next 5 to 10 years?
Great question. I think I don't have a crystal ball, so it's very hard for us to look 5-10 years ahead. I mean, especially with the climate change and everything that we've seen over the last 5 years and what we've all come out of. The pace of digital has changed tremendously. In some cases, we were forced into the digital experience very, very quickly and rapidly, versus, a kind of a period where Web 2 was, a journey for a while. We're already talking about Web 3, and a lot of people are starting to understand, what does open banking mean? What is Web 3? What is AI? Without knowing, actually, we're already in these experiences with a lot of the things that we're doing in our everyday life, through social media, through the choices that we make through our Netflix and Amazon and God knows what that we're watching. So I think what we're going to start seeing is, I think there's an understanding piece of what it actually means versus what do we do with it. And I think what we need to do, there's an opportunity here, I think it's a good one to talk about, is not to look at Web 2 and Web 3 as two different areas, and also not take all the learning, the experiences from Web 2 and go, maybe we'll change them in Web 3. Let's take Zoom as an example. We've been all using Zoom.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a metaverse. And a lot of people have been talking about this and they're like, oh, I'm in the metaverse. I'm like, yep, you are having interaction physically, in another place. And you are connecting, you're entertaining, you are collaborating. So this is a thing, it's an understanding piece, which is one, so everybody understanding where they are. AI is going to be huge. I mean, look, it's going to be a part of us, our everyday daily lives. And it's something that we need to take opportunity from, not shy away from. If you are hearing these terminologies and you're at the other side and you're like, oh gosh, what does it mean for me? Start maybe looking into how AI is serving you today and what kind of opportunities already it's served you with and how it's made your life easier. Choices in movies, choices in, shopping and stuff like that. I mean, I would love for an experience where banking is, we are across every channel without having to be a payment processor, if you know what I mean.
Without being seen, let's
exactly.
say.
It's like breathing, right? And we've heard some of our senior folk talk about this. We breathe, but we know we breathe, but we don't talk about it. Well, that's going to be how we operate from the banking
Yeah, that's standpoint. A great metaphor, actually. That's really nice, Saira. Another really big topic is sustainability. Everybody is talking about that in the banking scene and everywhere. What's your experience with that? Before I said you have a sweet spot for that. Could you tell us more about it?
Personally, I think it is the most important thing that we could all be thinking about right now. In fact, I think it's the number one thing that's, that we all should be driving towards. From a personal perspective and even from the angle of where we are, whether it be a fintech, whether it be a bank. I'm proud to say I'm part of an organisation that's been at the forefront of these kind of conversations, at the COP 26, 27, 28, as we go forward, we're working together with the world leaders in being at the forefront of conversations. We're educating people internally, about what does it mean. But the most exciting thing is how it's going to serve us in making decisions through our digital experiences, which I'm excited about. I'd love for it to be telling me where I can personally make some choices about, buying my coffee, making a purchase, using a fuel item, or
yeah, because many times it's actually the consumer that is making the choice. So
exactly.
Whatever you mentioned now is actually a consumer-driven choice.
And Francesca, let me tell you something, a funny story. So when I went to First Direct and visited the actual kind of offices, our physical offices after COVID, I was so pleased to see the parking spots. We're pretty much, we had a lot of the carbon kind of, the charging docks already in there. I think that's the kind of things, not only from a customer standpoint, from an employee standpoint, making it easier for them as well, so they understand what choices do they need to make.
Definitely.
But yeah, we're talking about digital and personal experiences. But yes, everything we do.
Nice, really nice. One very last question. It's about diversity. So
Yeah.
I've seen in this conference they actually did quite a nice job in having women always on stage. And I'm not saying like you are on stage because you are a woman. Actually, it's completely the opposite. Like they make an effort in find super clever woman that can be on stage. So what's your experience within the banking sector with diversity, being a woman in the financial sector?
Good question. Francesca, I think representation matters, and we all understand that now, and I think it's such an exciting place to be right now, whichever gender you're in, or whichever kind of diversity place you sit. I'm hugely passionate about this. In fact, I was talking about this last week from an International Women's Day perspective. We're very privileged that right now the industry has changed a lot, that we're getting some diverse voices. We need them more from the innovation standpoint, and this is where my personal kind of views come in. I think as we're designing products, experiences, and we're looking at kind of the next generation of offerings that come out, we don't only need women. We need a diverse set of thinking, and that's every individual, whether it be from vulnerabilities to disabilities to genders. So yes, women and the gender thing is hugely important, but I think just across all of that, I would say whichever facet of diversity you sit across, I think representation matters. The other thing I would say is also, find a voice, but also be available to be at the table, to be involved. If you see great ideas being built, put your hand up, get involved. But yeah, super important, but very...
That's nice. Thanks a lot, Saira. It was a pleasure to have you here. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and thanks again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to be part of Breaking Banks Europe? Reach out and learn more about the opportunity to be featured in one of our shows. With over 1.6 million listeners and counting, Breaking Banks Europe is bound to become the place to advance critical dialogue in Europe and the UK fintech scene. Reach out on Instagram or Twitter at Breaking Banks EU, or go to www.provoke.fm.
Welcome back at Breaking Banks Europe. We are here at Finovate in London with my next guest that I'm going to introduce you in a very bit. But before, as usual, let me give him the introduction that he deserves. So he has over 20 years of experience in the strategic execution of product strategy, particularly in the B2B technology industry. At Trulioo, he sets product strategy and oversees the launch of new digital identity verification solutions and services. In this high-impact role, he rebuilt the product management organization and instituted model processes for customer risk management compliance. I'm really happy to introduce you Michael Ramsbacker from Trulioo.
Hi.
Thanks a lot, Michael,
Thanks for that
joining
introduction.
you. Thank you for joining you. Actually, you know what's incredible? You have been everywhere in this conference. So yesterday you were on stage multiple times. I think you are kind of making a challenge with Chris Skinner, who's more on stage, right? Something like that.
Well, at Trulioo, we believe that identity really is the foundation of the digital economy. So I guess maybe that's why I'm on stage so much.
That's good. That's good, and congratulations, actually, because I've seen your demo yesterday and also your keynote afterwards. So it was really good seeing you on stage. How do you see the conference? Did you had good meetings, good networking? How was your experience at Finovate right now?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great conference, and this is where our customers are. So being in product, it's always a good thing when I can talk directly to our customers and find out what their problems are, and then take those problems back and work on solutions. And that's what product development is all about. So yeah, it's a great conference. And really good high-value conversations with our customers.
Nice, great to hear. So, Michael, we said that Trulioo is a leading provider of digital identity verification. So I would like to ask you to give us a little bit of an overview of what was the evolution of this field and what are actually the problems of the customer you're facing?
Yeah, so Trulioo's heritage, our DNA is providing global identity verification solutions to enterprises that need to operate in the international market. So Trulioo customers use our services in 30 or 40 or 50 countries on a daily basis. So that's really kind of our DNA, if you will, is global identity. And what we've done is we've released a platform that takes those capabilities and gives our customers new ways to build solutions that are appropriate for their technology stacks. And we do that across businesses and individuals.
And what's the reaction that you've seen? Because many times it's difficult to make understand financial institutions that they have a problem. So what's your experience with that?
Yeah. Well, what we hear from our customers is that they're trying to be more efficient with their onboarding processes. So maybe a couple of years ago, they were just trying to onboard every user that they possibly could and then sort out the good ones from the bad ones later, right? But now, especially in this economic environment, they're trying to be really efficient with their onboarding processes. And so the Trulioo platform allows them to create workflows and onboarding solutions that are most efficient because Trulioo helps them optimize the different services together. And we do that on a country by country basis because the right answer for onboarding efficiency in the United States may be different than the right onboarding solution for Canada, for example. And so our global knowledge of identity plus the tools allows us to build solutions for our customers to really lower the cost of onboarding a verified good user.
Yeah, you touch upon a very interesting point, the global side of this, because I've seen a lot of solutions that are actually tackling the problem country by country.
Yeah.
And this probably is quite a difficulty, while a solution that could tackle the problem globally, it's a big asset. What do you think about it?
Yeah, there's a lot of regional players and a lot of point solutions, but truly customers turn to Trulioo because through one contract and one platform, we can solve the problem in multiple countries. And that's important for customers that are operating in multiple countries, but it's also important for customers that have global ambitions. So you might be a UK bank or a Canadian money services business, but you want to expand internationally. So when you use the Trulioo platform, you're future-proofing your global expansion because you can quickly and easily solve identity globally through the Trulioo platform, which means you can invest more time and resources in your product and your core intellectual property and not have to put those resources into identity.
Definitely. So you are mentioning the platform, and I know you've just launched and rebranded the digital platform. Could you tell us a little bit more about this platform?
Sure. And platform can be an overloaded term, so I'll tell you specifically what it means to Trulioo. It means we have a programmable identity platform. So we have all of the building blocks that are necessary to build business and individual onboarding solutions at global scale. And we have great solution consulting teams that can give you the kind of the formulas for different platform configurations for different countries. And we also have the ability for our customers to really build creative solutions from those blocks themselves. And the amazing thing about this platform launch is seeing the creative solutions that our solution consulting team and our customers are coming up with the platform components that we've developed. So it's really been an amazing journey so far, and it's really resonating with Trulioo customers.
Great. So yesterday, during your keynote, you said something that was really interesting for me, actually, because everybody keeps talking about the importance of frictionless experiences and so on. But you said actually that we have to take care of the right amount of friction. Because frictionless, it's super good, of course, but we also need to be sure that there is a barrier, so a sort of friction to be sure that the client is secure, let's say. Could you double click on this?
Yeah, I try and talk about good friction and bad friction, right? And there are bad actors in the world, and so we can't just have no friction, right? We have to have the appropriate amount. And so an example of bad friction is, if you're doing like a document verification, not having the proper technology that gets the person through the workflow one time. If you're asking somebody to retry something over and over again, that's an example of bad friction. So it's having the necessary amount, and then understanding that what is necessary is different in a country by country basis. And it even differs from use case and different demographic segments. There are specific countries that have specific regulations that maybe make the data verification difficult. People have thin files, thin credit histories, if you will. And so you need to have your workflows adaptable to your specific use case, your specific country. What is your risk profile? And again, that's the benefit of the Trulioo platform, is that you can quickly and easily create all of those variables and then monitor and tune them over time.
Definitely. So double clicking on this, could you tell us about fraud? So how Trulioo is enabling customer detecting fraud, or let's say having a smooth process around that?
Yeah. So where Trulioo, we help our customers with fraud in a couple of ways. One is we have the necessary services that can be used together to identify stolen identities in onboarding process or synthetic identity. And then we also have risk-based decisioning signals within our platform that our customers participate in a consortium, so we can see things like velocity. So if names are repeating at a high volume, or we see anomalies in the relationships between identity information, we can alert our customers and say this is potentially a risky transaction, and so they can flag that and monitor that and make better risk-based decisions. And the value that Trulioo brings there is that we work with all of the top companies in crypto, marketplaces, financial services, fintech, and so all of the top companies in there. So Trulioo can draw really valuable insights from the network of customers that we work with.
Definitely. So you have quite an extensive experience in your role, both product and strategy. Which are the challenges that you have faced during your career, of course, regarding digital identity, maybe with the customer itself?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to identity solutions and fraud, it's the problems will never be fully solved. It's always evolving, and the challenge.
We need to catch the bad guys, probably.
It's a cat and mouse game, right? The bad guys are always probing for new to find new ways to exploit platforms. So we need to continually evolve our techniques to stop them. But on the other side of the coin, we need to evolve our techniques to make it easier and better for the vast majority of transactions are good users who just want to get onto the platform to do whatever business they're signing up to do. And so for Trulioo, we need to continually evolve and add new capabilities to our platform to solve for both of those at the same time. And so that's where things like national ID databases and biometrics for age estimation and all of those capabilities. So from a product perspective, my job in identity is never really done. And that's what's so exciting about working in this sector.
Great. I have to think, and I have to say that you probably have to talk with some Italian banks, because my verification process every time I have to make a payment is a nightmare.
Yes, one of my favorite examples when I talk about document verification is there are old Italian driver's licenses that are paper that are printed on a dot matrix printer, and some of those are still in circulation. And it's very difficult to create AI to solve for those identity documents, as opposed to a modern document that has an NFC chip in it. And again, that's an example of country to country, the techniques that you need differ.
Please do something for us, come on.
Yes.
All right, so my very last question is about the future of Trulioo. So which are the milestones you have in place for the next 5 years, let's say?
Well, Trulioo is the world's identity platform. So for us, it's continuing to, back to your previous question of what is the roadmap with identity. So for us, it's continuing to add new platform capabilities that our customers need to verify businesses and individuals globally. And that's new fraud techniques, and that's new identity onboarding techniques, and providing the capabilities that our customers need to operate in international markets. We want to be the world's identity platform. So regardless of the country that you're operating in and the customers that you're targeting, we want Trulioo to be the world's identity platform and solve those problems.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was really a pleasure meeting you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you to our audience, and see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Breaking Banks Europe, a Provoke Media podcast in cooperation with Fintech Stage. Don't forget to tweet us out, shout out, or post to the team at Breaking Banks EU on Twitter. If there's something or someone you'd like to hear on our cast, let us know. See you next week on Breaking Banks Europe.